When you talked about air quality there, it got me thinking about air quality in the home and
Yes.
filtering the air in the home, which got me thinking even bigger to what will we do to make a brain healthy home, including the air quality.
Wow. Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that because that is emerging as something, again, that has been left off. When you go into an Alzheimer's expert, they never say, "Hey, have you checked the ducts in your home?" It's just not, it's not on the table. And yet, what do we see? Here's a good example. Dr. Anne Hathaway, who is a tremendous functional medicine physician and was one of the three. Dr. Hathaway, along with Dr. Deborah Gordon and Dr. Kat Toops, were the three that did that first clinical trial with me that was just published recently, in which 84% of their patients improved their cognitive scoring. So really striking. And they even, by the way, improved their MRIs. So one of her patients, it turned out who came in with Lewy body disease, which is essentially like some Alzheimer's and some Parkinson's together. And it turned out that this person had ducts that were dirty, that had mold producing mycotoxins, as well as rat droppings. So just blowing air all the time. When those were cleaned out, boom, person gets better. So that is, again, it's an N of one, but striking associations. And so you're absolutely right. So many of us don't have brain healthy homes. Number one, our ducts aren't clean. They're full of molds and rat droppings and things like that. Number two, we're closing things off too much and the CO2 goes up. That's not good for your brain either. Number three, we are living, as people have pointed out, we're living in mold food. Unfortunately, we've got a situation where we're building structures where it's wood that is now being eaten. You get some water intrusion. The molds come in, like Stachybotrys that we just talked about, or Penicillium or Aspergillus. They're now eating on your home and they're producing these mycotoxins. So unfortunately, and again, we think of this and, oh my God, even what we're doing in our home is important. Well, okay, but you can clean this out. You can improve these things if we know what is attacking us. If we know what's giving us risk for Alzheimer's, we can do so much better. So I really like your point that this is making a brain healthy home.
Well, for a lot of us, that's where we're spending the majority of our time, especially after COVID, where a lot of people are now working from home.
Yes.
And a couple other areas that I'm sure you'd agree upon are looking at the water you're showering in and drinking.
Yes. Yeah, no question. And of course, there is so much in terms of the water. And again, when we think of basic detox, we think of the way that we get rid of, we're all exposed to some forms of toxins all the time. So you've got a baseline exposure and you want to reduce that and you want to excrete that. So you're getting rid of it. Urine, you're getting rid of it through your gut. You're getting rid of it. And that's, again, where having a high fiber diet is helpful. You're getting rid of it through your sweat. You're getting rid of it through breathing out. All of these things, you're essentially pushing this stuff out all the time. And so, as you alluded to, having clean water, having filtered water is important. And again, one of the things I ran into recently that was a problem is make sure if you're using, for example, RO water, if you're using water where you've now lost the minerals, distilled water, things like that, make sure that you're not losing your own minerals. So make sure that you get some mineral replacement there. So yes, all of these things are critical. Doing saunas. There was a famous study that came out of Finland, just looking at one variable. How often did males do saunas? And they showed that the ones who did saunas 6 times a week had a much lower likelihood of developing dementia than those that just did 1 or 2 a week. So, in fact, this seems to be, again, an important part of your overall detoxification. Again, sweating from exercise, following up the sweating from exercise with things like Castile soap and non-toxic soaps to help to get rid of these things. Appropriate breathing, appropriate time outdoors. One of the things I recommend to all the people with cognitive decline, please just spend more time outdoors. As you mentioned, so many of us, we're spending our lives indoors and getting on Zoom and doing all that Get outside, get out there and run, get out there and do things. And again, each one of these things by itself is not a cure for Alzheimer's, but each one of these things contributes to having best outcome.
If you enjoyed that clip, press here for the full episode. I'll see you over there.
We actually have a pro-inflammatory state with ApoE4, and so we have a slightly shorter lifespan and, of course, a markedly increased risk of developing Alzheimer's. Great, so we can address that.